Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back to Anime Symbol, and I'm back with a brand new episode, part 3 of What If Naruto Was Obsessed with Power, guys. Remember to get this one too. 100 like as usual. Share this to all of your friends on your social media platform. And also, guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto Was Shadow the Hedgehog. Link will be down in the description, so go ahead, check out that and enjoy. And if you haven't yet, I indeed have 3 more channels. I'll be leaving all the links down in the description as well for you guys to enjoy. Don't forget to turn on the bell notification to see when I post, to join the Anime King family because I do post a hell of a lot. So without further ado or wasting any more time, how about we jump right into this brand new episode. Let us begin now, guys. So, to do a bit of a recap for the last part that we left off, Gato was losing it. He was pissed. Pissed beyond his wildest imagination. The assassins that he sent had failed to complete their job. They failed miserably, which angered him to no end. Naruto has been meddling with his business, sinking his ships and doing all sorts of things that were making Gato rage above and beyond. However, there was nothing that he seemed to be capable of doing about it. As we skip to Naruto, who was running towards the land of Wave, his stamina had increased drastically. Naruto thought about the past, the reason why he dealt with people the way he did now. As he watched, someone took their final breath because he was too weak to slay the enemy. And the enemy had been hired by Gato, that is why it was Naruto's mission to end the man for what he did, apart from his other mission of growing his strength to unbelievable heights. Yes, he was going to make sure that Gato took his final breath, and that was a certainty. Naruto made his way, seeing the changes in his body when it came to him absorbing the power of the egg. We also get to see why Naruto truly despised the Nine Tails, as the beast had started it all, taking away his parents and then his younger sister, and the beast refused to tell him why he did that. Was it simply because of hate, or was there some other reason? Naruto despised the Nine Tails with everything that he got, but the Nine Tails was the only reason why he wasn't dead. What Naruto devoured was the power of a beast that was formerly known as the Ten Tails. Kurama was told about this from his father, which was the Sage of Six Paths. The potency of the chakra had been passed down in the egg from that bird, who was one of the first to be infected by the chakra, as it seemed to be changing Naruto for the better due to Kurama being a part of him. We skip past a few days as we find Team 7, consisting of Kakashi Hatake, Sakura Haruno, a boy known as Sai, and the last Uchiha within the village, Sasuke Uchiha. As they were making their way towards the land of Wave, they came across a rather turning situation, as the client had lied to them, which led to them facing off against Zabuza and the Demon Brothers. They still decided to continue on though, not wanting to leave the man stranded, mostly because Sasuke wanted to test his own strength. Sai was a weird individual, and Sakura, well, she was simply going with it. So with that, they made their way as they continue on their journey. Unknowingly to them, Naruto arrived. When the big day finally came though, they arrived on the bridge as they were fighting. Naruto showed up, surprising Sakura where she stood. She thought he was foe and this was bad, but Naruto entered the dome. Haku seemed to be quite aware of who he was, as Haku tried to take Naruto out, but Naruto was much more skilled and fast, disarming Haku and saving the two kids. Zabuza then saw Naruto and took him on. Their battle was brief and quick. They flashed around the bridge clashing before Naruto sent him sailing with a powerful blow. Upon seeing Gato, the man tried to run, the man tried to flee, but Naruto ended him without a second thought, causing the others to run for their life, as Naruto's power was frightening. That is when Zabuza realized that he was going to die if he continued. He was already injured and Naruto was allowing him a free pass. Due to Naruto interference in the past, Kakashi wasn't too happy with the boy one bit, given that he was like a bigger brother to Naruto, and yet Naruto left without saying anything and has been on the run for the past couple of years. That angered him greatly. Yes, it angered him. However, Naruto wasn't here to apologize, taking Sakura hostage because he didn't want to fight Kakashi. He wasn't going to hurt her though. However, as the days passed by, Naruto thought about Konoha and the upcoming exams. It's been a while since he's been there to say his piece. So he went to the village. The first thing he did was visit his family graves. Hiruzen had been kind enough to put a memorial for his younger sister despite her brief interaction with the world. However, Naruto was there to pay his respects. He decided to stick around for the Chunin exams. It wasn't hard sneaking in with everyone flooding into the village. As Naruto was there in the crowd, he saw Sasuke Uchiha, Sai as well. He had to say the boys were not that bad. However, soon after the invasion began, Orochimaru was attacking the village, as Naruto found himself saving Sakura once again by disarming the Sound Ninjas that tried to take her out. However, there was one thing that was certain about Naruto: he was loyal to Konoha. It was the home that his father served, the home that his mother served, and he wouldn't allow anyone to destroy it. So for the brief time, Naruto was back to save his village. So yeah guys, basically that's where left off. You guys can switch across the place, check out for yourself, and also don't forget to go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto Was Shadow the Hedgehog. So yeah guys, let's begin this now. How to truly weaken a village. Go after the defenseless ones, because in doing so, there will be countless that try to protect them. And in the process, there is a high percentage chance that you can annihilate those forces that came to their aid, because their mind would be preoccupied, and their efforts as well, to protect the people. Thus, as the Sound Ninjas split apart, making their way, several groups going deep into the heart of the village. Their main structural area was the academy. Holding children hostage was a main driving force, because when it came down to talent, they had nothing on Konoha. The Sand Ninjas were sparingly. They were at the walls, trying to stop the Konoha ninjas from breaching into the stadium area before all of the Sound troops made their way. Thus, as a large group poured into that section of the village, making their way, Aruka Mino found himself hurrying the kids to rush towards the bunker area. Most of the others were preoccupied due to the Sand Ninjas fighting so hard and pushing back and drawing the attention by making their group look much bigger than it actually was, as they started to murmur, what the hell? Where the hell was Gaara? As he had yet to transform. The Sound Ninjas finally arrived. Aruka was trying to get all of the kids out. Arriving, he saw the group heading their way, being chased by Konoha ninjas, the perfect opportunity. However, before they could clear over the distance to get to them, the children gazing behind them with fear, they heard a sound. When they glanced up towards the sky, all they saw was a spinning blue ball that struck the ground with such force, sending them sailing. As their bodies were in mid-air, He moved with such speed that he cut them down before they could fall, one after another until, when they indeed fall, there was not a single trace of life left inside of them. He reached down as he picked up the kunai in his hand, the one that belonged to his father, gripping the hilt. When Iruka saw him, he was shocked. There was no other that possessed the whisker marks. "Naruto," he said, shock written all over his face. Naruto gave him and the Konoha ninjas a courteous smile before he vanished away in a flash, shocking all that witnessed him. Meanwhile, Guy and Kakashi were back to back, taking out sound ninjas after sound ninjas, knocking them around, putting them down, as a large group of them try to outdo the two, until in a flash, Naruto descended upon the group, punch and kicks launching members from left to right. He landed down in a pose after he was done, their bodies all being sent away. "Am I too late?" he asked. Kakashi was sure that he wasn't mistaken, as he had saw Naruto earlier. He thought that he was thinking about him because of the Land of Wave mission, but he was wrong. He was indeed here. The copy ninja was about to say something until they felt it, the monstrous power. Turning their gaze towards the forest. "It seems there is no time for talking," said Naruto. With that, he dashed off, taking down several sound and sand shinobis that stood in his way, not a single one of them capable of stopping him, as he flashed off to the trees. Naruto quickly made his way. Upon arriving, he saw a young boy that had captured several sound shinobis. His name was Shikamaru Nara, as he found himself in a predicament. Kakashi had sent a group of ninjas, the ones that were available, the Genins, to go and help Sasuke, as they found themselves in a bind. Shikamaru Nara was there, Sakura Haruno was there, Kiba, and Sai was there as well. Sasuke had went straight after Gaara when the wall had came down. He wasted no time. Shikamaru had told him to go along as he trapped the sound ninjas. However, he was running out of chakra, and quickly as well. "It seems like you need some help," he heard behind him, confused. At first he believed that it was an enemy, and he was speaking to the others. "Let them go," said Naruto, as Shikamaru saw the blonde hair. Still not trusting, he immediately released his shadow possession and jumped away. The sound ninjas quickly moved in. However, the first one got a brutal uppercut that launched him into the trees. The second one, driving his kunai forward, Naruto grabbed his wrist and snapped it before, delivering an elbow strike that cracked his nose. The third one did a spinning kick, but Naruto blocked it with his forearm and grabbed his leg. He snapped it before swinging him into the other one. Two other jump as Naruto formed a Rasengan. He slammed it into the first, that slammed into the second. The third threw a kunai to the base of Naruto's neck, but Naruto ducked as it pierced through their own comrade. He dashed towards the man and kicked him so hard in his stomach, he was launched back, breaking through several trees. Shikamaru was astonished, shocked, having never witnessed anyone fight this fast before. He couldn't believe what he just witnessed. "You look pretty tired," said Naruto. "Why don't you go relax? I'll handle the rest." That was the best thing that Shikamaru could probably hear that day, as Naruto dashed through the trees. Kiba was trying to stop Kankuro, but he was having a very hard time doing so. Kankuro was much stronger than him, and due to his puppet and his poison as well, Kiba was at a huge disadvantage. However, something blitzed past him and sent Kankuro through a tree. He was out like a light. The only thing Kiba saw was the footstep that Naruto took and took off. He was confused. Naruto dashed through the trees, everything seeming to move in slow motion as he finally arrived. He arrived to see Sai on the ground. Sasuke was struggling as the curse mark was receding and coming out. His body was in agony. Sai was stronger than most, and he's dealt a lot of damage to Gaara, but Gaara's body seemed to be undamaged at all, due to the modifications of his body taking on the aspects of the One Tails. As Sai had a wounded leg, Sakura was pinned against a tree. She was unconscious. Sai was struggling to move as Gaara came down with massive claws, only for a hand to be placed at the side of Sai's head, and he was lying on the ground. The kick that Gaara received in that moment came out of nowhere. He was launched like a bullet, taking down several trees, colossal trees in his spam, before finally crashing hard. Naruto straightened himself up, gazing towards the forest where he sent Gaara. Sai looked up. "Naruto Namikaze," he said. "It is a surprise to see you here." "I suppose," Naruto said, extending a hand. Sai took it as Naruto helped him to his feet. "That doesn't look so good." "But there's no need to worry," said Naruto. "Get yourself patched up. I'll handle the rest." "He's a Jinchuriki," Sai said, his gaze narrowing at Naruto. "I'm quite aware," Naruto said, making his way towards the forest. Sai knew that he couldn't allow Sasuke to die, as he proceeded to patch his leg up, as Sasuke was still struggling. However, he lacked the necessary willpower right now to push back the mark and stay on his feet with the little chakra that he had remaining. Gaara lost it, as Sai was greeted by an explosion of sand that shot all the way up into the sky, forming something colossal, forming something huge. Gaara felt pain like when Sasuke had stabbed him with the Chidori. It was significantly great for Naruto that his blows were that powerful. If it wasn't for the One Tail, Gaara would be missing several teeth now. He was angry, upset, and afraid as well, an emotion that he does like to release. So he released his mother, and upon doing that, he proceeds to let loose. The power skyrocket and he released it all, releasing the beast that is Shukaku. He quickly went to sleep by activating the possum technique. Upon doing so, golden, shuriken eyes open up. Shukaku threw his hands in the air. "I am free," he said, reveling in the destruction around him. He brought his hand down and crushed the earth, ripping up trees as he threw them into the sky. It's been a long time since he had his freedom, and finally, gazing towards the puny humans, they were the first ones that he was going to take down. However, Shukaku felt something familiar. His gaze swept over the entire place. The small dagger that Naruto always had in his hand lodged itself right on Shukaku's stomach as Naruto appeared, removing said dagger. Shukaku looked down. His hand started to manipulate around Naruto, trying to grab him, but Naruto took off at blinding speed, racing up Shukaku. The beast tried to pat Naruto down, but Naruto flipped away. Upon doing so, the explosives that he lay on Shukaku's stomach went off. A massive blast that threw Shukaku back. As he was falling back, his cheeks bulged. He released a powerful wind release that ripped the entire place apart, trying to take Naruto out of the air. Naruto reappeared a distance away, gazing back up towards the beast. Number 1 unsuccessful. "Now number 2, said Naruto. A clone that found itself right beside Shukaku's feet, and another one behind it, both poofed away, causing Naruto to blaze through hand sign as he brought his hand down. His chakra dashed through the earth, moving towards the seal and activating it. Shukaku was surrounded by flames. They shoot from the seal, wrapping around him completely, as they tried to burn him on the inside. Naruto stood there as he watched. The massive beast throwing and moving around trying to get away. Shukaku slammed his hands down on the ground, trying to destroy whatever was causing this. Naruto had enough chakra to allow the seal to use his power to funnel its fire, as Shukaku's body was becoming crystallized. When sand is heated up, it becomes glass. The flames were getting hotter and hotter the more of Naruto chakra it used, and Naruto chakra was large. Therefore, Shukaku found himself unable to move as his legs became crystallized. But due to the very special properties of his body, he was easily able to recover himself, breaking out of the glass properties. As he finally destroyed the entire area around him. "Where are you?" he said. "Show yourself!" "Fine, I'll just destroy everything," Shukaku said. He turned and raised his tail before he swiped it across the ground, causing a seismic blast. Knowing that the others were still some distance behind him, Naruto went through hand sign. "Summoning jutsu," he said. He slammed his hand into the ground. Naruto proceeded to summon a gate that was as tall as Shukaku, a massive gate that was completely barred up at the front. A specialized jutsu that he had learned from the many scrolls that he's taken. This was from the old days, from the first Hokage. The gate was able to withstand the colossal blast, given the radius of where he stood. However, the power still traveled and whipped against Konoha walls, blowing back several others. Naruto jumped as he landed on top of the gate. He squatted down as his gaze focused on Shukaku, allowing the beast to finally see him. "There you are," Shukaku said, moving closer to squash Naruto. However, Naruto pressed down so hard, the top of the gate cracked. Despite the fact that Shukaku's attack did nothing, and yet, with a mere jumping motion, Naruto burst the gate into pieces as he launched himself. Finally arriving close enough, Naruto leaped by using his chains to push him over Shukaku. His chains then wrapped around Shukaku's throat and yanked the massive beast down. Boom! His body slammed into the earth. Naruto ran as he jumped, blazing through hand sign as he pulled his hands apart like webs were stick between them. "Sacred art," he said, binding chain in webs. He slammed both hands on Shukaku. Naruto chain in pattern of a very powerful seal started spread across Shukaku. However, it wouldn't be able to hold him for too long. That is when Naruto felt something strange. He placed his hand down on Shukaku. As he felt the chakra, it was almost like it was right there, for the taking. Naruto was alarmed as he saw red chakra oozing around his hand and flowing into him. He was somehow absorbing the One-Tail's chakra. How was he? It came to him as he understood. The so-called egg, perhaps. This was another one of its side effects, granting the wielder unbelievable power. Could it mean that it granted the wielder to absorb other chakra, allowing them to become more powerful? That is what he was told, that is what the old man was told and his generation was told. Perhaps that is what it truly meant. He has gotten stronger, but he expected more. Perhaps was it this? Within his mindscape, Kurama truly knew what happened. Naruto's body changed. Maybe it was from absorbing the raw substance of the 10 tails. It was allowing him to feed on the chakra of the other tail beasts. It was debatable if he would be able to do this to a shinobi. However, Shukaku chakra was flowing into him and making him stronger. It was not mutating him or turning him into a tail beast, no. It was simply adding on to his power, making him vastly more superior. What this would bring to its fullest Shukaku, Kurama, no one could know at the moment. However, Naruto stopped himself. As Shukaku started to break through, Naruto dashed across him, dodging every single sand spikes as he weave and dodge and leap. Naruto punched Gaara straight through. bursting him right out of the sand. He slammed into a tree and crashed on the ground, perhaps breaking a few bones. Shukaku released a violent scream, shouting in rage as he was sent back, his sand dissolving on the ground as a chakra returned back to Gaara. Naruto landed down before making his way towards the destruction site. Gaara struggled to rise to his feet. "No, get away. I won't allow you to erase my existence." Naruto looked down towards him, confused by his statement. He carried on as Naruto started to understand. He stepped towards Gaara. He tried to fight Naruto. He tried to raise his hand. However, Naruto slapped it away like it was nothing. He looked towards his hand, surprised, but the sand was weak. He stepped towards Gaara and proceeded to look over the seal that was placed on his stomach, as Gaara struggled to fight Naruto, but he was not strong enough. Naruto was able to understand. As he was not in control, he could see it around his eyes and under his eyes. Sleep was rare for him. The seal was created all wrong and also weak as well. "Why do you think I will erase your existence?" Naruto asked curiously as Gaara. Watch as he backed up. He didn't understand why wasn't he trying to finish him. He thought that is what he was trying to do, but it didn't seem to be the case. Knowing that they were similar in a way, him also being a Jinchuriki. However, that did not really fall short on Naruto, but he had to say, the boy was all messed up. He could see it in his eyes. "If I'm not mistaken, you have family. A brother and a sister." Naruto knew who he was. He was the son of the Kazekage after all, their so-called weapon. Now he understood why the word was fit so perfectly for someone like him. "They mean nothing to me. They only make me weak," said Gaara. "Ah, so that's why you're so weak." "What? You say family is what makes you weak, but I think they make you strong. The reason to go after, to get stronger, to protect them. That is a true definition of strength, I believe." As it made Naruto thought about his own. The reason why he pushed himself so much. The reason why he keep on going. Because he failed all those years ago. A part of him believed that he was simply punishing himself to be stronger the next time something happens. But he lost everyone around him. He lost the family to be. So why, he wonders sometimes. But as much as he tried, he never stopped. He just keeps on going. Gaara was confused by that statement. "You know, I'm just like you," said Naruto. "In terms that I'm also a Jinchuriki. Have the 9 tails within me," said Naruto. "I understand how wicked these beasts can be. However, unlike you, I do not rely on its power. Never have. And I never will," said Naruto. "I think you should look forward to doing the same." Naruto straightened himself up. He was going to bring Gaara into Konoha custody until the 2 Sand siblings landed behind him. "Get away from him," Temari said, having been knocked away and knocked out by Gaara when he was transforming. Naruto looked at them both. "There is not a single possibility that the both of you can defeat me," he said, looking at the both of them. "So how about you surrender yourself, and no one has to get hurt? I'm sure that Konoha will give you a fair trial." "Wait!" Landing down was Baki. "He was your sensei." "Another one," said Naruto. "Fine by me. I can take you all down. I'm not here to fight," Baki said. "What exactly is going on then? A game? No. We were tricked into this. Orochimaru of the Sannin pretended to be the Kazekage and used our village to fight. The invasion is over. The Sand is pulling out. We were forced to do this, and not by our own leader." "I see," said Naruto. "You wouldn't be lying to me now, would you?" "No," Baki said. Said Naruto, stepping forward. Baki looked rather nervous. Kankuro was confused. Why didn't they all just attack him at once? Baki was here now. However, Baki gazed down towards him. Stand down, he said. As he turned his gaze back towards Naruto, we are not here to fight. Baki saw with his own eyes. This man demolishing sand and sound ninjas like they were nothing, and then he took down the one-tails. But that wasn't the only problem. It was a technique that he used. He was that child, wasn't he? He was the son of that man. Naruto looked back down towards Gaara, who seemed to be thinking about what Naruto had said. He started to walk as he stepped aside. Fine, he said. I'll allow you guys to leave because of the long-standing tradition of friendship that the Sand and Konoha has. But know this, if you are lying to me, and if you do make a move against this village ever again, I'll come for you, said Naruto. His words sending shiver down Baki's spine, knowing that this was not someone to trifle with, not in the slightest. Temari and Kankuro gazing back at Naruto as he took off, in a flash. As they helped Gaara up, Naruto made his way back to the village. However, as he hopped to where the main battle was taking place, that seemed to be over already. He stood in the distance watching, seeing Jiraiya, a frown greeting his face as he saw someone on the ground. Time skip. A funeral took place for Hiruzen Sarutobi and all those that fell in battle. Due to Naruto interference, many was saved from their eventual downfall. Perhaps Jiraiya would have made it on time, but there would have still been some casualties when it came to the one-tails. But the beast had been subdued and taken down, courtesy of Naruto, and not to mention the children that he saved. The children that were now speaking about the man that saved them. And the people that were talking about the man that flashed around just like their former leader, Minato Namikaze. People were already talking about his son being back. While the populace was greatly aware of Naruto, they haven't seen him in a very, very long time. Jiraiya made his way, as there seemed to be no one around. However, he spoke to the trees. I know you're here, he said. It took a moment for someone to be seen, making their way from the foliage. The person stood there leaned up against one of the trees. He had stayed behind for Hiruzen's funeral, while he had not been there up in front. As the Sannin was seeing Naruto first in a very long while, as the both of them stood there, Jiraiya did not seem that pleased with him and the whole situation that has been going on. Are you done running away, he asks, gallivanting all over the elemental nation. Ironic that you're saying that to me, said Naruto. Isn't that the same thing that you're doing? You should not take me as an example, Jiraiya said. Both has been at a bit of odds since they met up on a few occasions, with Jiraiya trying to bring Naruto back and Naruto always fighting him. The Sannin was pretty fed up of Naruto running away constantly. So what now? Why did you return this time, Jiraiya said. I wanted to see my home and pay a visit, said Naruto. But I found myself in an invasion. And despite my actions, I am still loyal to Konoha. It is still my village. So I fought for it, said Naruto. Jiraiya turned his gaze. So, you gonna run away again, said Jiraiya. Not until I know that Konoha is safe. Who's going to be the next Hokage? Is it you? I can't do it, said Jiraiya. I have other stuff to do. Let me guess, your so-called spy network. Yes, you're quite aware of it. Well, I do think that you spend most of your time messing with scandalous women. But who am I to judge, said Naruto. So who is it going to be then? Jiraiya. Watch as Naruto stepped a bit closer. He was watching him rather carefully. The Sannin did not respond as Naruto saw the gaze. Do you really want to fight? Now, said Naruto. What exactly are you going to do? Restrain me with Fuinjutsu. Don't tempt me, said Jiraiya. However, there is someone that I have in mind. But in order to bring her back, I'm gonna need your help. My help. Why would that be necessary, said Naruto. Because she might be able to convince you as well to return back to your village, and you might be able to do the same for her. I don't think that's a possibility, said Naruto. I've told you this before. I will never turn my back against Konoha, but I'm not here to stay. But tell you what, I'll help you out. Because if I think you're talking about who you have in mind, then yeah, I'm gonna pay her a visit as well. You've spoken to her over the past couple of years. Yes, I wanted to know what kind of person she was. Let's just say that I was underwhelmed. Although, she's quite the hell of a drinker, said Naruto. Time skip. The two of them found themselves on the road, searching for one Tsunade Senju. Meanwhile that was going on, a creature was observing the two from the distance, watching them very carefully. Due to Naruto being publicized in one place, as news had spread pretty quickly, those that were after him were making a valiant effort now, as Naruto was within their sights. Given his constant move around, it was hard to track him, but now he was there for the picking. Naruto and Jiraiya butt heads as they made their way, the Sannin trying to convince Naruto to return, knowing that forcefully locking Naruto in a cell or something would just not work, as that would simply make him an enemy. So he was trying to talk to him to convince him, but every single thing that he said, everything that he did, Naruto rebutted everything. He was still on his journey to becoming the strongest, as strong as he possibly can to break through any limitation, learning and exploring different avenues that he couldn't do within the village. Jiraiya even offered to teach him more advanced techniques, but Naruto declined, knowing that this was just another way for the Sannin to restrict his movements. When they arrive at another town with no luck, the Sannin decided to head out. He was going to gather information. Naruto wasn't going to follow, so he stayed in the hotel room, as he decided to get something to eat. However, when he dropped his bag off, he made his way and came to a stop. I wonder how long it will take them to come, Naruto thought to himself. He waited for a bit longer until he heard the knock. Making his way towards the door, Naruto opened it, as he was greeted with the Sharingan eyes of Itachi Uchiha. Naruto looked him dead in the eyes, despite that being a very stupid thing to do. Itachi, said Naruto. Long time no see. Wait, Itachi, you know the brat. Behind Itachi was a much taller man, with blue skin, shark-like features. Kisame, the tailless tail beast, Naruto said. You know me too, Kisame said. Of course I do, said Naruto. I heard you're quite the S-rank ninja. I have been looking forward to test my skills against someone like you. Huh, I like this brat. Straightforward and no sense of fear. That's good, Kisame said. So, can I offer you guys anything? Tea? Biscuit? We're not here to eat, Itachi said. You must come with us now. Come with you? Where exactly, said Naruto. And what exactly do you want? You know, children are told to stay away from strangers. Well, I guess you're not that much of a stranger. But you on the other hand, Naruto said, looking towards Kisame. I don't think we've ever met, so I think it is in my best interest to say no, Naruto said, making his way towards the door. However, Itachi spoke. It wasn't an option. I thought as much, said Naruto. Kisame's instincts kicked in as he weaved. He was shocked. Slash! It ripped across his skin. The blade that the original Naruto was holding. It was a small little handle blade. And it looked so dangerous, yet it was so small. As Naruto had aimed it towards his jugular, Naruto flipped back as the clone poofed away. He landed. I have to say, your reflexes are on point, said Naruto. The blood was dripping down Kisame's face as Samehata started to heal the wound. Even has the ability to heal. Now I'm more impressed. Stay back, Itachi, Kisame said. I'll handle this brat, as he raised Samehata. Lucky strike. However, you shouldn't have missed, Kisame said. Well, if I didn't, you would have been dead. Besides, it isn't that I miss. It is that your reflex is so good. Or perhaps I did miss. Who knows, said Naruto. Now, what exactly do you desire of me? What exactly can I give you? You so-called Akatsuki's. So you know who we are, Kisame said. And I think I know why you're here, after all. What other reason would you come after someone like me? You know what I am, said Naruto. And now that I am alone, you believe. The both of you are enough to take me out. I must admit, two S-rank ninjas are pretty dangerous together. Well, if you're not me. Naruto dashed forward. Kisame braced himself as he was frightened by the speed. However, at the last possible moment, Naruto vanished. Kisame was sent through the wall, creating a massive gaping hole. His body slammed through a cart down below, then slammed through a building wall before sending towards the forest area that led to the outskirts of this village. Naruto stopped at the hole, holding out his fist as he retracted. We'll talk soon, he said, gazing behind him, before jumping through the hole. Due to them not visiting Konoha, none of the citizens there had any idea what was going on now. Kisame picked himself up, rather shocked, completely so. How did he do that? There is no way that he's that fast. That was instant, Kisame thought. He turned as he saw Naruto running towards him. The next moment though, he received a brutal uppercut that knocked him into the heavens. Naruto then lodged his heel into Kisame's skull. His body crashed down on the ground, hard. Kisame then soon realized what was going on. After what Zetsu had reported back, Samehata started to check over Kisame as he found it. He proceeded to absorb the chakra from the seal that was placed on him. All seals need a small amount of chakra to make it up. And that was there to bind the seal together, allowing Naruto to bridge through space. And Kisame removed it. He got up and spat out blood. Due to Samehata, he wasn't that badly hurt, despite the vigorous beating that he's already taken. I see that blade is more special than I thought, said Naruto. But it doesn't matter. Naruto sped towards him. Kisame swings Samehata as Naruto ducked. However, Samehata exploded out of the bandages. It was getting so closer to Naruto's face. He vanished away though as Kisame snapped his gaze around, trying to locate exactly where he was, looking up, looking down, looking right, looking left. He then looked down as the ground exploded. He jumped away, only to block a kick from Naruto. The both of them then start to exchange blows. Their fists clash, their legs clash together. Naruto weave under Samehata as Kisame sent Naruto through a tree. Naruto spin as he landed on it and bounced back. Kisame and his leg clashed together in mid-air before their blows slammed together. The both of them flipped away. Naruto went through hand sign, Kisame went through hand sign as well. Water exploded from Kisame's mouth while wind exploded from Naruto's. They collided in a fearsome clash, starting to rip the ground apart as the both of them kept on exhaling their tremendous, powerful technique. Both men refused to relent until Naruto's technique quadruple in size, blasting straight through Kisame's water and ripping into his side, launching him away as he slammed down hard. Kisame looked down towards a tier Akatsuki ropes, blood leaking from his side. He tilted his head as Naruto's knife buried where his head once was. He turned and knocked Naruto into the side before kicking him away as he flipped to his feet. He threw Samehata while Naruto was being sent away. However, Naruto recovered and flipped and landed on his hand before twisting. He slammed the knife right in the empty space where there was nothing penetrating from Samehata, causing the blade to pull back but scratching Naruto in the process as well. It tried to take as much of his chakra as possible, but it wasn't enough. Naruto raised his hand as a Rasengan form, only for Kisame to arrive as Naruto ducked under the blow. Kisame kicked him in the gut though, launching him away as Naruto flipped. He landed as the Rasengan destabilized in his hand and vanished away. Kisame picked Samehata up. The both of them were now back on their feet. "I'll give it to you," Kisame said. "I underestimated you. However, how about we keep this up a notch?" "I was waiting on you to say it first," said Naruto, as he brought his hand up. However, Itachi landed. "We're leaving," he said. Turning his gaze, Kisame saw Jiraiya making his way. He cursed, knowing that they will have to retreat. "How about we do this some other time," he said. "It was fun. The most fun I've had in a very long while." "Sure thing," said Naruto. "The next time you come to kill me, let's have another battle." Kisame gave Naruto a salute as water surrounded the boat as they promptly vanished away. Jiraiya landing on the scene. "You couldn't have given me 5 more minutes," said Naruto. "You do realize that you were facing an S-rank criminal just there, didn't you?" "Of course I did," said Naruto. "And you wanted 5 more minutes to fight him. Do you think you would have won?" Pretty sure," said Naruto. "It would be a difficult fight, but I would have still come out on top. After all, we were just about to get serious," Naruto said, lowering his hand. "Do you even know why they're after you? This is not a group that you've pissed off in the past." "Oh, trust me, I know why they're after me," said Naruto. Jiraiya was more livid to know that Naruto knew that a S-rank group was coming after him, and yet he still hadn't returned back to the village. Another reason to make him frustratedly mad about Naruto's actions, as Naruto seemed to be taking this for some sort of joke or some sort of game. But the Sannin was wrong on everything that he said. Naruto was taking this seriously, but his way of acting was just so carefree that most might think that he did not worry about anything going on. But he knew the stakes that he had to face. He knew them all too well, but he wasn't concerned that much about them at the moment because he had that much confidence in his strength. A distance away, Kisame was still rotating his hand. "The brat was tough," he said. "Tougher than I originally thought. And he seemed to have been holding back the entire battle. He wasn't even using that technique that much. I wonder what he's truly capable of. Facing someone like me and you down without even blinking. The kid must be really something special." Itachi did not answer. Kisame paid that no mind because usually Itachi did not talk that much. However, Itachi was remembering the past. Flashback. A young Itachi Uchiha found himself observing the 5-year-old Naruto, who was training. However, his training was problematic. Yes, this was not his first time seeing or meeting Naruto. He's met Naruto on several occasions before, due to him going in some rather risky places to train and get stronger. However, on this day, Itachi truly wanted to know. He wanted to know the drive behind this rather suicidal training. As he came to a stop, observing the young boy, Naruto gazed up towards him barely sensing his presence, something that angered him. Itachi approached him. Again with his training, young Naruto, he said. The academy is starting soon, said Naruto. However, I've watched your training, and I have to say, it's been pathetic. You're still young. You have time to grow, time to learn. You don't have to be in a rush. You say that, and yet, you're already on track to becoming one of the most powerful ninjas in this village. Naruto said, looking at him. You and your clan, you're special. Perhaps that should be a bargaining point for you, but no. It isn't your Sharingan that makes you who you are. And it's not going to be the Nine Tails that make me who I am, said Naruto. Itachi was aware of this, as stated before he met Naruto on several occasions. Naruto did not seem ashamed or afraid one bit of speaking about the fact that he possessed the Nine Tails. Itachi was there. He might have been young, but he was there. It was on that day that he asked what exactly it is that Naruto wanted. This training, this constant pushing. To be the best, said Naruto. To become so strong that there will no longer be a doubt. Despite what he said, Itachi knew that the reason was much deeper, having been told by his own mother about what was going to happen, the life that would have been brought into this world, but that life was snuffed out on that same night, on the night that Naruto lost everything. In the flashback, as Itachi made his way, Naruto never gave up. He continued on his dream, trying to become the best, trying to make sure there was no possible downfall. Itachi was sure that, in doing so, him and Naruto were similar. Naruto has isolated himself. Itachi was sure that Naruto did not allow anyone to get close to him, no one at all, because if they got too close, there is a chance that he might lose them, and that is the last thing that he wants. So, he's isolated himself. He's cut himself off from everything and everyone to ensure that no one around him is harmed. Itachi hated that, as Naruto's life was not supposed to be this problematic. He's already made his own brother's life problematic. He hated to see it for someone else. As he sighed. However, it was good that he has grown so much stronger to stop them from capturing him. That is very good. Time skip. Arriving finally. As they met Tsunade within a bar, his leads panned out. They searched the village until they found her. When she saw them, her gaze immediately focused on Naruto. What the hell are you doing here, you brat, she said. Nice to see you again, Grandma, said Naruto. Her fist immediately cracked the table. I told you to stop calling me that. Naruto smiled at her. During his little sabbatical training, he seeked her out, knowing that she was not within the village. Naruto had met her before. That was when he was younger. Jiraiya had brought Naruto once on a little trip, trying to give him a better insight. This was after Hiruzen Jiraiya banned Naruto from pushing himself so much, trying to show him that he still had time. The world was a large place, that there was still so much to do, so much to accomplish. While Jiraiya was showing him that, he wanted Naruto to see that things can be taken small despite how big everything was. He showed him villages. He showed him other individuals that didn't possess chakra or strength like him, and yet they went through day to day. Unfortunately though, Naruto only got one thing from what he was saying. He was blessed with it, so he was going to use it. They had met Tsunade on that little trip. That was the first time that Naruto met her, and the second time that he seeks her out was when he was trying to master the technique that she left behind within the Senju scrolls. Wonder how the hell he got his hands on those. He told her that he was good and that was all. He was good at stealing stuff. Not to mention those around him trusted him a lot, so they wouldn't expect him to do that, especially because he ran away. And they never expect him to run away. So yes, that was something. But that wasn't important the second time they met. Naruto met her on several other occasions, due to him traveling all around the world. When you're not looking for someone, it's like they're always there. And this was the several time that he was meeting her now. He glanced over towards Shizune with a smile. "Hello there, Shizune," he said, as he took her hand and proceeded to kiss the back of it. "It's a pleasure to see you again." "You're always such a flirt," she said, her cheeks a bit red. "So why are you truly here, Naruto?" she asked. As Jiraiya was completely taken out of the subject, despite not saying a word just yet. "The village is in need of a new Hokage," said Naruto. "So, how about it, Grandma? First of all, I told you to stop calling me that. Secondly, you already know where I stand on going back there. You're the same as well, so why bother me?" "Well, it's not me, it's him." "So have you finally been tracked down and forcefully brought back?" she asked. "Of course not," said Naruto. "I'm just hanging out with a pervert over here. We are good buddies after all." Jiraiya glared at Naruto as Naruto simply laughed it off. "Well, all up to you," said Naruto. "I softened the ground for you." "You call that softening?" Jiraiya whispered in anger. "Why don't we spend some time together?" Naruto said, taking Shizune by the hand before lifting her out of the side of the boot, causing her to giggle. She knew that Naruto was harmless, but he could be such a flirt sometimes. "Why don't you old-timers spend some time talking?" Tsunade launched a cup towards Naruto as he caught it, drinking the contents inside as he flipped it back towards her. He quickly made his way along with Shizune before she threw anything else, this time aimed towards a place to hurt him. Naruto indeed went to have fun with Shizune. There was a little festival in the village nearby, and the both of them made their way. It was her time to relax and not worry about Lady Tsunade doing something crazy. Jiraiya was with her, so the two spent their time having fun. Despite his obsession, Naruto knew when to have fun. The both of them end up falling asleep on a hilltop. Nothing happened between the two. They were just friends after all, as Jiraiya was the one to come and find them. Tsunade was being rather stubborn, but he believed that he could convince her. Naruto proceeded to go to speak with the woman after getting a shower and freshen up. He found her sulking as usual, as he took the bottle away from her. "You know, because of you I've become quite the drinker," he said. "But I really like the high-priced stuff. It's more delightful," he said, sitting down beside her. "Not another pep talk. I'm not in the mood." "Well, I'm not here to give you one. Besides, who am I to judge? It's not like I'm going to go back to the village." "Why haven't you?" she said. "I'm sure that you're strong enough now to protect yourself." "Well, that's not exactly what I'm going for," said Naruto. "You on the other hand, how has it been?" "It's been what it's been," she said to him. "Huh, you haven't changed. No direct answers for when things become serious," Naruto said. "However, he's not gonna stop bothering you, and I'm gonna stick around for a while." "Why?" "You're always the first one to run away," she said. "I'm just curious to see how this all unfolds." "Don't think I'm an idiot," she said. "I know how much you care for the village despite not wanting to be there because of the crazy stuff that you do while you're out on the run. You're going to try to convince me to go back too, aren't you?" She cracked her knuckles. "You really must like your bones broken." As Naruto giggled and stepped away from her. "You know what? I'll give you some space," he said. "Don't worry, not gonna force you," he said, walking away. And that is exactly what he did. He pestered her for the next following week, speaking about everything and everything involved in the village, about the time that she spent on the road. However, it didn't seem to be working one bit, not at all, until 2 nights before the end of the week. You know, the only reason why you want me to become Hokage is because you think I'll allow you to run around without sending actual ninjas after you, just like Hiruzen did for us. Naruto leaned his head back. You know, I always thought I would say goodbye before he finally kicked the bucket. As much as he forbid me from doing certain things that made me angry, he was always looking out for my best interests. I'll always respect him for that. He died like a hero though, protecting his home. I know that you're afraid, Naruto said. Afraid of what the title of Hokage means. I suppose we're all afraid of something. However, forcefully making you do something that you don't want to do is a waste of time in my opinion, and many others. After all, there is a reason why Jiraiya has not tried to forcefully bring me back to the village. However, I think that you make a great Hokage. Because unlike many others, you know the struggles and tribulation that many have been through. Some who haven't even made it to the point, but it's something that they've always wanted to do. You know what it takes, so you'd respect the job a whole lot than some others that are only going to use it to gain power for themselves in a rather horrendous way. Naruto said, straightening himself up. Well anyway, thanks for the drink, he said. I'll be heading off very soon because I don't think this is going to work. Unknowingly, or perhaps he was fully aware, it's hard to tell with Naruto. His words hit her rather deep. She wasn't drunk, she was just listening to what he had to say. Despite her eyes closed, she wasn't asleep, of course not. However, her deal with a certain individual came to her mind. And what Naruto said about Hiruzen made her remember the past. And there was only one thing she wanted right now, and that was to kill someone. The next morning, when Naruto woke up, he found himself looking down at Shizune on the ground, and he was rather surprised. Turns out Tsunade had knocked her out when Shizune came to warn him. Jiraiya was nowhere to be seen. She made a deal. With who, said Naruto. Meanwhile, Orochimaru and Kabuto was trying to bring Tsunade with them. They used her greatest fear against her and she was out of commission right now. The problem was, she wasn't exactly alone. The Sannin felt something, Kabuto felt it as well, as Tsunade also turned her gaze. When they saw it, something was racing towards them. And whatever it was truly frightening. But guys, be and subscribe right here. If you want to see next part and do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the other what ifs on the other channels. But I'm off and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.